the Lord. Translation. Let the Supreme Lord be merciful towards me. He is the one friend and soul of all living entities in the world, and he maintains all for their ultimate happiness by his six transcendental opulences. May he be merciful toward me, so that I, as before, may be empowered with the introspection to create. For I am also one of the surrendered souls who are dear to the Lord. Please repeat. Let the Supreme Lord be merciful towards me, one friend and soul of all living entities, and he maintains all for their ultimate happiness by his six transcendental opulences. May he be merciful towards me, so that I, as before, may be empowered with the introspection to create. For I am also one of the surrendered souls who are dear to the Lord. Srila Prabhupada's purport. The Supreme Lord Purushottama, or Sri Krishna, is the maintainer of all in both the transcendental and material worlds. He is the life and friend of all, because there is eternally natural affection and love between the living entities and the Lord. He is the one friend and well-wisher for all, and he is one without a second. The Lord maintains all the living entities everywhere by his six transcendental opulences, for which he is known as Bhagavan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Brahma prayed for his mercy so that he might be able to create the universal affairs as he did before. Only by the Lord's causeless mercy could he create both material and spiritual personalities, like Marichi and Narada, respectively. Brahma prayed to the Lord because he is very much dear to the surrendered soul. The surrendered soul knows nothing but the Lord, and therefore the Lord is very affectionate towards him. Verse again. Let the Supreme Lord be merciful towards me. He is the one friend and soul of all living entities in the world, and he maintains all for their ultimate happiness by his six transcendental opulences. May he be merciful towards me, so that I, as before, may be empowered with the introspection to create. For I am also one of the surrendered souls who are dear to the Lord. Om Ganasya Gananjana Sulakaya Chakshuramilikandana Tasmai Shri Guru. So in this chapter, Brahma's prayers for creative energy, he's praying to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this verse, like every other verse in the Bhagavatam, as aspiring Vaishnavas and devotees, we have to see how this is applicable for me, for you, for every one of us. Lord Brahma, with four heads, created the entire material universe and placed so many living entities in positions, delegated authority to many of them. He had to pray to the Lord. And similarly, every one of us, for everything we do, we always have to remember that not a blade of grass moves without the will or sanction of the Supreme Lord. Prayer is most important for every one of us. There was many years ago, I heard a story where Maharaj came and asked Srila Prabhupada, saying and bowing down. And I simply just bring you some nice prasad, bring you nice plate of prasad. Prabhupada must perform the activities of the devotees, and then you will become a devotee. So even in the beginning, you may not have foundation for many of these prayers, but Prabhupada has made it very accessible. You have to pray to the Supreme Lord. And prayer is very natural. For any service that we do at all. Just if we're going to go to ISKCON, we're praying Krishna. Let me hear what's being sung and repeat as nicely as I can. Krishna, if I'm addressing the deities, Krishna, I don't take qualification. Just give me the energy to do this little service. If I'm looking for the Lord, saying, oh Krishna, oh Mother Janaki Radharani, give me help me prepare something for the service of the Lord. So all the time, devotees are always praying for the mercy of the Lord and expecting mercy. Devotees are always anticipating getting the mercy of the Lord. Prabhupada says the very last line of this purport, the surrendered soul knows nothing but the Lord, and therefore the Lord is very affectionate to him. So as aspiring devotees, if we're always praying to Krishna for everything, Krishna sees that, he recognizes that, and then he will take care of our needs. Like there's a quote from Prabhupada written next to ISKCON over there that always remember Krishna, and then everything will be taken care of. Who are we? What can we possibly do? What can we create? Everything we do, we're dependent on Krishna. Krishna is providing the air we breathe, sadhana, and even if we think, oh, I'm a very expert cook, I'm doing some of the things, but where did the rice come from? Where did the spices come from? Where did the water come from? If everything is coming from Krishna, so if we're always remembering that and thanking him and praying to him, then we will begin to see Krishna. Anyone have any comments, questions, or corrections up to this point? If not, we can read the next one of Lord Vimal's prayers. Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, is always the benefactor of the surrendered souls. His activities are always enacted through the internal potency. Goddess of fortune, I pray only to engage in his service in the creation of the material world, and I pray that I not be materially affected by my works, for thus I may be able to give up the false prestige of being the creator. In the matter of material creation, maintenance, and destruction, there are three incarnations of the material modes of nature, Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwar. Incarnation as Vishnu, in his internal potency, is the supreme energy for the total activities. Brahma, who is only an assistant in modes of creation, wanted to remain in his actual position as an instrument of the Lord, instead of becoming puffed up by the false prestige of thinking himself the creator. That is the way of becoming dear to the Supreme Lord and receiving his benediction. Foolish men who want to take credit for all creations made by them. But intelligent persons know very well that not a blade of grass can move without the will of the Lord. Thus, all the credit for wonderful creations must go to him. By spiritual consciousness, one can, consciousness only, can one be freed from the contamination of material affection and receive the benedictions offered by the Lord. Read that verse again. The Supreme Lord, personality of Godhead, is always the benefactor of the surrendered souls, always enacted through his internal potency, Rama, or the goddess of fortune. I pray only to engage in his service in the creation of the material world. And I pray that I not be materially affected by my, or thus I may be able to give up the false prestige of being creator. So that this is another extremely important verse as aspiring devotees. Anything that we ever do, if something happens to be a little successful, if we cook something nice for the Lord, or someone you lead a nice kirtan to the Lord, or dress the deities very nicely, whatever it is, we should be thinking that Krishna is really, he's the one who's providing the energy. We pray to just become an instrument of Srila Prabhupada. We're praying to become their instrument. Because if we're really their instrument, if we're acting according to their will and their desire, then our activities become perfect. They really become perfect. But if we're thinking, if we want to get a little credit of our own, it's like a carpenter can come and build a house. You hire a carpenter and get the materials and he builds a house. And when the house is done, he says, oh, look what I've done. I've created this. He didn't create. He's just an employee. He's an employee. He's working for the owner. The owner provided all the materials, provided the land to build it on. He's the owner. So same way with everything we do, we should remember that Krishna, he is the real proprietor of everything. He's providing the resources. He's providing the air we breathe, the light that enables us to see. He provides whatever intelligence we have, and memory and forgetfulness. Krishna provides that. We should never remember that. We should never forget that. Right. Anyone have any personal realizations or comments about how Krishna, how they see Krishna and everything? What? Everything is okay. Even when Srila Prabhupada, when he was on Jaladuta, stepping off the Jaladuta, he wrote in his prayer, what in Prabhupada's prayer, he was praying to Krishna, Krishna, you have brought me to this hellish place. You have brought me to America, sinful place. Now, please let me speak in such a way that these listeners will understand. Because he was Bengali, but somehow, and then he says, Krishna, you brought me here, and make me dance. If you want me to dance, then make me dance. The devotee is praying to become a puppet of the Supreme Lord. Just please direct me, give me some guidance. For praising, it sings in one of the songs that Krishna, show me a direction. Like when we're driving down the road, the sign says, Phoenix, 200 miles that way. You don't go there. So a devotee is praying, Krishna, show me some direction. Show me which way to go. So if we do that every day, right from in the morning when we wake up, Krishna, some direction today. Because without you, in this material body, I'm thinking pleasure to the body is pleasure for me. Prashadam, that is a very wonderful pleasure that Krishna is writing for us. And, we have to always be praying to Krishna for direction, for guidance, everything we do. And then what we do will be guiding us. He speaks to us from within the heart and through his representatives. Devotees sometimes pray they have some big problem pick up a book and open it to her, just open it anywhere, right there on that page. You find, wow, it's just what I needed to hear today. That was, and Krishna also speaks to us through his devotees. Well, seemingly ordinary Vaishnava devotees that may be sweeping the floor in the temple or whatever they're doing. That Krishna speaks to us through his devotees. Aspiring devotees, we need to always be praying as Lord Maha for the mercy of the Lord. Any corrections? Comments? What time do you go to? The Lord's potencies are innumerable, as he lies of better unity from incarnation. I therefore pray that in the course of my material activity may not be deviated from the vibration of Vedic hymns. A person engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord in this material world is prone to so many material activities. One is not strong enough to protect himself from God of material affection. Brahma has to create all kinds of living entities with bodies suitable to their material condition. Brahma wants to be protected by the Lord because he has to contact many, many vicious living entities. Brahmana may fall from the Brahma Tejas, or the power of Brahminical excellence, due to his association with many fallen, conditioned souls. Brahma, as the supermost Brahmana, is afraid of such fall down for protection. This is a warning for one and all in the advancement of life. Unless one is sufficiently protected by the Lord, he may fall down from historical position. Therefore, one has to pray constantly to the Lord for protection to carry out one's duty. Lord Chaitanya also entrusted his missionary work to his devotees and assured them of his protection against the onslaught of material affection. The path of spiritual life is stated. The path of spiritual life is stated in Vedas to be like the edge of a sharpened razor. A little inattentiveness creates havoc and bloodshed. But one who is a completely surrendered soul, always seeking protection from the Lord in the discharge of his entrusted duty, has no fear of falling into material contamination. So this is maybe the heaviest of all prayers, at least the one we read today, and most instructive for every one of us, that Lord Brahma himself, entity in this creation, born directly from the lotus flower, from the navel of the Lord, he's praying protection so that he doesn't fall down. So all of us, as young, aspiring devotees, just trying to take up Krishna consciousness, there's so many dangers. And then we've heard Prabhupada say that there's even accidents on the royal road. So we've all taken up this path of Bhakti Yoga, but we have to be careful. We have to pray for protection. Everyone has heard, I'm sure everybody knows at least one person who was acting, doing wonderful service, wonderful devotional service, and then they get a little too close with the material energy, a little brush of Maya, when we go a little bit. Like Prabhupada gave us a program. He wanted us to chant 16 rounds, follow the minimum of 16 rounds, follow the four regulated principles, rise early, attend Mangal Arati, hear and discuss Srimad Bhagavatam daily, eat only prasadam. But sometimes we stretch things a little bit. Oh, I'm in town or on the airplane. I could take a little of that food there. Yeah, I'm not sure quite what the ingredients are, but it's probably okay. So we take a little bit of food that may not be prasadam. We don't even know what the ingredients are. But we hear from the Shastra that when something is cooked, it takes some karma from the person who cooked it. So if there's a meat eater that's cooking it, really simple at first. Maybe it's just some cake or sweet, but we're eating grains cooked by non-devotees, and it contaminates us. Or even for devotees that may go on Sankirtan, they're distributing books. They're out preaching, but they see some young man with a beautiful girl driving a fancy car, and they become a little envious. Oh, I wish I had one of those. Wish I had something. They become envious of the materialists, not knowing that these materialists, what do they have to look forward to? They're just going to grow old, and they're going to with nothing. There's a story of a devotee that I knew a long time ago. His name was a sannyasi. At the time, he was a brahmachari in Germany, and he was Sankirtan devotee. He would go on book distribution. Every day he would go out and distribute books. And one winter day, the weather was miserable, raining and snow and just terrible weather. So he said, "Okay, I'm going to just stay back today and read and chant at the temple." So he's chanting Japa Hare Krishna Hare Krishna. And then at one point in the middle of the day, he looks out the front window of the temple at the street, and he sees some street sweeper, just some government worker that's, sweeping brush out of the street so it doesn't clog up the drainage. So he's sweeping the street, and he's, soaking wet in the bad weather. And this devotee is thinking, this man is struggling. He's working so hard just to get a little money. And then at the end of life, what is he going to get? A shovel of dirt in the face, maybe a flower. Someone will say he was a nice guy, and then he's finished. Has to take birth again. And then he immediately went out, picked up his book bag, and went out. Because when a devotee is working hard, we're working for something eternal. And when you're serving Prabhupada and serving Krishna, you're going to end up with an eternal body full of knowledge and bliss. We're serving Krishna, Krishna will take you home. We have to be careful. That we never want to become envious of all the wealth and the opulence and the sense gratification that the materialists have. But all their sense gratification, it's temporary. It's very short-lived. In Sanskrit, the word is chapalasuti. What they have is flickering happiness. Their sense gratification is like a candle outside in the wind. It's going to go out at any moment. Just a little more wind comes, it's finished. But a devotee doesn't take his pleasure in the things of this world. He takes his pleasure when Krishna is pleased. So throughout this purport, Prabhupada is saying we have to be careful. But we're praying. Even Lord Brahma prayed not to fall down. He's praying to Krishna not to fall down. And Prabhupada gave devotees many instructions. He repeated instructions, like from Chanakya Pandit. Chanakya Pandit has said a man should never be alone in a room with a woman, even if it be his mother or his daughter. So if we're thinking, well, that was Chanakya Pandit. I'm such an advanced devotee, I've been chanting Hare Krishna for 20, 30 years. But no, that's not the story. Prabhupada speaks in the Bhagavatam, even the wooden form of a woman can disrupt a man, can agitate the mind. We have to take all these warnings. These are meant for me. Driving on the highway and you come to an exit sign, You come to an exit sign off the freeway. You're going 70 miles an hour, and on the exit sign, there's an arrow, a curve, and it's 30 miles per hour. But if I think, oh, that sign is just for like really old people who don't know how to drive, I'm going to do it at 60. Most likely, you're going to roll over and crash your car and maybe die. But we have to take warnings, especially warnings in the Shastra. We have to take them seriously. We can't think, oh, that was just for people who are in Maya, because all of us are in that category. We're here. Prabhupada is right at the very first line of this purport. Every person engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord in this material world is prone to so many material activities. And if one is not strong enough to protect himself against the onslaught of material affection, we may be involved in a spiritual practice. We may be following to the best of our ability. If we're not careful, we can be taken away from the devout path. If we're not careful, if we commit offenses to devotees, that's a very serious one. Offending Vaishnavas will take our strength away. Will be Maya penetrating our consciousness and heart. But we have to take the warnings of the Shastra very carefully. Always remember Krishna. Never forget Krishna. Anyone have any realizations or comments on that? Corrections? There's three. There's Brahma and Shiva. Lord Brahma is the creator responsible for the mode of passion. Takes care of the winding up universe, destruction, the mass, the ignorance. Of the three, that Vishnu Tattva, he is in charge of the mode of goodness. But it's easy to create things. Someone can come and build a temple. Of course, to build this temple is not going to be easy. It's a big project. But to build the temple is easy. But to maintain it for many, many years, that's the hardest job is maintenance. And that's what Lord Vishnu is charging. I don't know if I understood your question. The Supreme is Lord Vishnu, Krishna. Brahma is creating. He's working for Krishna. Brahma works under Krishna. Brahma? He's a demigod. He is created from Krishna. He is not God. Brahma is Jivataka. Lord Shiva is Jivataka. Krishna is Vishnu is Vishnu. Supreme is Krishna. Govindam Adi Purusham. Krishna and Vishnu are same, almost. Krishna, Yeah, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, yeah. Yes, that's all Vishnu expansions, Krishna expansions. Brahma is a different category. He's a demigod empowered, or Lord Krishna delegated him to create this universe. Even in his very exalted position, yeah, yeah, Lord Brahma prays, we sing every morning in his Masamita, this, so at the end of every one of those prayers, Govindam Adipurusham Tamham Bhajami. Lord Brahma is praying to the Supreme Lord. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, one without a second. The Lord Brahma is praying for Krishna. Everyone thinks that Lord Brahma is, they might think, oh, he's the creator, he's a god, he created the universe. But he himself is praying, Govindam Adipurusham. He's praying to the Supreme Lord. Yeah. So the point in this verse is Lord Brahma, even though he's so powerful, extremely powerful, we can't conceive of the power that he has to create the universe, to create planetary systems. And even though he's so powerful, still Lord Brahma is praying to the Supreme Lord to protect him so he doesn't fall down. So this verse is very, we should all make this verse applicable in our own life. We should all pray like that. Even tiny, so tiny compared to Lord, praying that Krishna just please protect me. Because we're subject to falling down, subject to being an illusion of living entities, making mistakes. So we have to alert that we're not going to be swept away by material energy. And this is specifically for devotees. We shouldn't just think, oh, the karmis, they're in Maya, they fall down. This specifically, that first verse in the line, Prabhupada speaks in the purport, every person engaged in transcendental loving service of the Lord in the material world is prone to so many material activities. And if we're not strong enough to protect ourselves, we will fall down. So it's not just that, the karmis fall down. I'm doing devotional service. It won't happen. For many people, we call karmis and non-devotees. There's no question in them falling down. It's like when they're already down, where do they have to fall to? But as a Vaishnava, you've made some vows, some commitments. And that's why initiate is the beginning of spiritual life. So a devotee takes vows at the beginning of initiation. At initiation, I vow to follow these principles. So that puts you on a higher platform, and as you go up, you have somewhere to fall. The materialist, he's already involved. He's already involved. Like they say there's 4 pillars of sinful life: gambling, intoxication, illicit contact with the opposite, meat eating. So these are the 4 pillars of simple life. But for the materialist, those are the 4 pillars of their life. That's all they have. That's all they have. There's their pastime of one of Prabhupada's godbrothers had gone to preach, and one big lord, one big political man from London asked him, "Can you make me a brahmana?" And he said, "Yes, I can do that. But you must give up intoxication, illicit sex, gambling immediately." And the politician said, "Oh, impossible." because they don't know what life is without that. That they don't know that that is their whole life. So for them, there's no question of fall down. They're already at a very low position. But once you've taken up devotional service, you're on the altar serving the Lord, you're cooking for the Lord, you're singing kirtan. Once you're doing this, then we have to be careful because Maya doesn't like that. Oh, someone's getting out of my control. I'll show him. And Maya will come along and pull the rug out from under you and trick you. Some night wrong. Oh, Prabhu, can I give you some nice pictures? How can I serve you? Maya comes in many different forms. Lots of money comes all the time. And, oh, I got all this money. I should have myself. Maybe you go out to the Indian restaurant with some nice samosas. Yeah, there's so many things. But if a devotee gets money, he wants to do something like this. Goes home, because if you build a home for Krishna, Krishna is going to take you home at the end. He's giving us. Like Prabhupada, he has spoken, especially, this is especially for devotees. That's like decorating yourself. Not that the devotees think, no, I'm going to decorate Krishna and it's going to make me nice. No, but that's what happens to your heart. When someone spends, like the deities are so beautiful, they're so nicely dressed, the dress is perfect and the jewelry, even the garlands are so nicely made. It's not sloppy garlands, but it's so nicely made. Different color flowers. When you concentrate on dressing the deity, that's like cleansing your heart. It's like decorating your heart. Not maybe externally, but internally you're becoming purified by it. Same thing when you cook for the Lord and Radharani's kitchen. You're not thinking, well, this is really good, tasting really good. The devotee's cooking, meditating on it, and doing everything to make a nice offering. It doesn't usually eat all the prasad. It usually leaves some remnants for the devotees. Although some of you may know that pastime from Chaitanya Charitamrita. There was a brahmana who was training his young son. He was training his son to be a brahmana. Training the boy, young boy, 10, 12 years old. Training the son. You do like this, you do runs, and you chant the mantras, and you do an offering like this. And then one day, the brahmana had to go away. So he instructed his son, your master will cook, and then you take the prasadam, you make the offering for the Lord, because I will be away for 2 days. You will take care of the deity when I'm done. So the mother, the offering she gave to his son, the son goes on the altar, he does achman, puts the prasad there, and he's chanting his dharma, and then nothing happens. And then the boy, he starts to talk to Krishna. Krishna, you have to eat. My pitta told me that you have to take the offering. And Krishna doesn't usually eat the whole offering. The boy is crying that, what did I do wrong? My father will be mad at me if you don't accept the offering. So Krishna came and he ate the whole offering. The boy goes out with the empty plate. The mother's chastising, you eat that? No, Krishna ate. He didn't believe. So next day, it happened again. She's peeking through the window, trying to cry. It's my son. He's so pure. Krishna came and he ate the whole offering. But usually that doesn't. Usually Krishna leaves the remnants for the devotees. When a devotee is serving Krishna like that, he's praying, Krishna, please accept this. I know I can't do anything so nice, but please, this is all I have to offer. Please take it. Please accept it. Please, Krishna, please accept it. And that's what we have to do with our whole life. We might think we're not so good at something, I'm not a good cook, or I'm not good at this, that. But when Krishna gives you some service, you do it. It doesn't matter you're good at it, you're not good at it. If he wants you to do it, you have an opportunity to do it. So we'll read it once again, and then are innumerable as he lies down in the waters of devastation. I am born the total universal energy from the navel lake in which the lotus sprouts. I am now engaged in manifesting his diverse energies in the form of the cosmic manifestation. That in the course of my material activities I may not be deviated from the vibrations of the Vedic hymns. My bhagavatam,